Thanks for joining us today. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America, and today we're talking about human computers, specifically Black women mathematicians who help put men into space and on the moon. With us today, Margot Lee Shetterly, who has written the startling real-life stories of these invisible women in her breathtaking book, Hidden Figures. And thanks so much for being with us, Margot.
Thank you for having me on, Carol.
It's startling because they really were in plain sight, but totally invisible to the world. These women mathematicians who did this remarkable calculations that actually made spaceflight possible.
Yeah, you know, they were, I would say they were hidden, that's the title of the book. But really, yes, in plain view. I'm from Hampton, Virginia. And I came to this story because my father, who's now retired, worked his entire career at NASA Langley in Hampton, Virginia, as a research scientist. And so growing up there in Hampton, many people worked at NASA. And I knew, as members of the community, many of these women that I write about in the book. So, you know, they were our neighbors, they were Girl Scout troop leaders, they were, you know, people you saw in the grocery store, maybe people whose children went to school with me. And, but you know, it wasn't until much later that I realized the importance of the work they did.
Yeah, that these were brilliant women who, you know, went to work every day doing extraordinary calculations and then went home and cooked dinner and did everything just like everybody else.
Absolutely.
Lived normal lives in this extraordinary matrix of the space race. I always start by asking the guests to place themselves in Black America so we know Hampton, Virginia. Your dad was a scientist, and what I love about one of your quotes was that the face of science was brown like yours in Hampton. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, you know, Hampton, Virginia is about, I mean, today it's about 3.5 hours drive from Washington, D.C. Hampton, Norfolk, Newport News, all of these cities, you know, were very invested in the defense industry of the United States. World War I, World War II, where my story starts. And it had, for over the years, during those periods of national conflict, had drawn people from all over. And during those times, they really wanted people with technical skills, scientists, engineers, mathematicians, technicians, working in the shipyards, working at NASA. So a lot of the people that I grew up with, you know, as a subset of those people were African American, were Black people, Black engineers, Black scientists, Black mathematicians, Black technicians, many of them in my own family. And so, including obviously my father. So I had a very close-up view of people doing that kind of work who were Black. And it was, of course, the most normal thing in the world to me.
Right, and you spent time with your dad at his work. You know, you describe his life even as methodically going into those labs, creating things, and you know, then just being a dad. And you went with him. It turns out you didn't become a scientist or a mathematician, but ultimately were influenced by that exposure.
Yeah, it really helped for me to see him going to work every day and to see the work that he did, that work that he really loved. You know, it was really passionate about science and math. And to see that in his workplace, there were women, there were African American women, there were white women, women of all backgrounds. So I really got a chance to see that basically anyone, you know, maybe there was a white man or a Black man or a white woman, you know, or a Black woman. All of these people could be scientists, and that was a great thing to see as a very young person.
Right. And we're going to get to the stories of some of these remarkable women, but I want to talk a little bit about more about you, because I know that you lived in Mexico. I mean, you're friends with my daughter, you and your husband, and I remember when you guys went to Mexico, I kept asking Elizabeth, when are they coming back? What are they doing there, as a matter of fact? You know? So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in 2005, my husband Aaron Shetterly and I, we moved to Mexico to start an English language magazine called Inside Mexico. There's an extremely large American and Canadian expat population of retirees, people who would otherwise go to Florida, let's say, and who decided to go to Mexico. So we went down there to start that business, kind of intrepid entrepreneurs, and lived down in Mexico for a total of 11 years. We've only just recently come back to the United States. And I think that having that distance from my own country and my own culture and living in a different place and learning another culture, I think that really did give me enough space, the right space, to be able to look at where I was from and appreciate it, and look at my country and appreciate it. And, I think that having that space really did, in many ways, contribute to my ability to write this book at this time.
So now let's launch into the story of these remarkable women with the hidden figures, so to speak. I keep saying hidden lives. I think about the women, but it's the sort of, it's a numbers story that we're talking about. So you were on a visit back home with Erin.
Yes.
And so tell us how all of this came about.
Sure. This was in 2010, December. And we were home for the holidays and visiting my parents, and had actually gone to church one Sunday and had seen one of my former Sunday school teachers, a lady named Mrs. Kathleen Land, who has since passed away. I believe she was 96 when she passed away. And after church service, my dad was talking about the work that she had done at NASA Langley, where he had worked. As a mathematician, as a human computer. And the conversation sort of rolled into discussion of some of the other women that he had known, including Katherine Johnson, and how she had calculated the launch window for the astronauts. And my husband, Aaron, was like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
I have never heard this story. This is an incredible story. Why don't we know more about this? And it was a moment for me, he immediately was like, this is incredible. And for me, having sort of known a lot of this, and though probably not
somewhat for granted,
taken it for granted, and not known as much as I thought I knew about it.
Right.
And it was like, wow, this is an amazing story. So it really started, with that first conversation with Mrs. Land, and that went on to an interview, which ended up being several interviews with Katherine Johnson, who was the first person to mention to me the name Dorothy Vaughan, who was the head of the segregated Black female computing unit. And really from there, it was sort of like tracking down a mystery, trying to find these women and their place in history.
So the story is that here were these Black women mathematicians, Katherine Johnson, who was like really truly a nerd, loved math, loved those numbers.
Absolutely.
When I love a quote of hers when she said, well, they told me they wanted to go to the moon and they want to go to space, and I said, oh, well, I'll do the calculation for you to try to get you back.
Exactly. And she always says, listen, that's important. People think it's all about shooting the man into space, but you've got to get him back home safely. Tell me where you want him to land, and we'll work backwards from there.
So, so then how many would you say there were altogether during this time of Black women?
Of Black women, yeah. So I am still counting, and I get emails on a regular basis from family members of these women who work there. My guess right now is that of the Black women, that there were probably 80, let's say, give or take.
Which is a lot.
From 1943 through, let's say, 1980. Sure. They were then part of a larger cohort of white and Black women doing this job at Langley, at NASA Cleveland, which is now called Glenn. It used to be called Lewis, at the various NASA centers around the country. I think there are more than 1,000, this group of women. There were so many who came in during World War II. And many of those women ended up spending their entire career doing this mathematical work. But I'm still trying to track down all of their names.
Right.
That is my goal.
Well, it's just such a wonderful, wonderful story. And when you talk about people who are dedicated to their work, in that kind of thing, getting a man to the moon or getting a man into space and getting them back somewhere on Earth could take 1 million. I think one of them took 1.2 million calculations or equations or, versions of it. And there was this group of women who were doing all of this work pre-computer.
Yeah, and I want to mention also, I think we always think of the space program because that is, sending a man into space and to the moon is, still this almost magical thing. But in the very beginning, and even throughout this entire time period, these women were working on airplanes. So the next time you get on an airplane, next time you're at LaGuardia or wherever it is, and you're looking at the shape of the wings on the airplane, you're looking at the tail that juts up like that, all of those aspects of the airplane, that is also something these women worked on. So in a very, very real way, their work has had a transformative effect on all of our lives, not just the astronauts, but all of us.
Well, when we heard about the book, the debut of the book, it took, 6 years, which is really no time at all. It must have seemed like a lot of time to you, however, but as books go.
As books go,
right?
Yeah.
But at the book came out September 6th, and it was announced immediately that there was already a film. And we've got a clip of that. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll come back and talk about how all of that happened.
Okay.
Equilateral, trapezoid, isosceles, tetrahedron.
I have never seen a mind like the one your daughter has. You have to see what she becomes.
Come on! Move like that.
Catherine, we all gonna end up unemployed riding around in this pile of junk.
You're welcome to walk the 16 miles. Or sit in the back of the bus.
You kiss me up.
You have identification on?
We're just on our way to work at NASA, sir.
I had no idea they hired.
There are quite a few women working in the space program.
You know what we're doing here? We're putting a human on top of a missile, shooting him into space, and it's never been done before. I need a mathematician that can look beyond the numbers. Math that doesn't yet exist. Before the Russians plant a flag on the damn moon.
You have someone?
Running what I'm playing.
Catherine's the gal for that. She can handle any numbers you put in front of her.
Don't embarrass me.
This wasn't emptied last night?
I'm sorry, I'm not the...
That Colonel Jim is a tall glass of water.
He's coming over.
Now, why would he be doing that?
Cause Mary's waving at him.
No!
Dorothy, slice of pie?
I love one.
You already have a slice of pie, do it. Oh,
You're a computer at NASA. You let women handle that sort of...
Yes, it's an uphill battle.
Yes, they let women do some things at NASA, Mr. Johnson. And it's not because we wear skirts. It's because we wear glasses.
We go from being our father's daughters to our husband's wives to our baby's mothers.
You've been gone for 300 hours.
Was Mama gone for 12 and a half days?
No, but it felt like it.
It felt like it to me, too.
It's crunch time. In 14 days, astronauts will be here for training. Everything we do can matter to their wives, to their children. I believe it's going to matter to the whole damn country.
My gals are ready. We can do the work. That's John Glenn.
What do you ladies do for NASA?
Calculate launch and landing, sir.
Engineering. And I'm proud as the devil to be working with you.
How could you possibly be ogling these white men?
It's equal rights. I have the right to see fine in every color.
There's no protocol for women attending.
There's no protocol for a man circling the earth either, sir.
Every time we have a chance to get ahead, they move the finish line. Every time.
We all get there together, or we don't get there at all.
Yeah, it's good to know NASA hadn't given up on good old-fashioned brain power.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let me ask you, if you were a white male, would you wish to be an engineer?
I wouldn't have to. I'd already be one.
Don't you know that we're able?
Margot, what a treat. And even though it says it's opening in January, Christmas Day, in some places you'll be able to see this film. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So for those who toil, you've got this great Taraji Henson, Octavia Spencer, Janelle Monáe, incredible Kevin Costner, not a man as well. How did all of this happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still sort of processing all of it. It's amazing. I mean, this is my first book. And right around the time that my literary agent, who's a wonderful woman named Mackenzie Brady Watson, she found the publisher for the book. She also managed to get the book proposal into the hands of a producer named Donna Gelati, very well-respected, talented, powerful woman in Hollywood, who really has a passion for women's stories. She got the proposal, she read about these women, and she called me up and she said, "We're going to make a movie," and this is like, I'm still working to make a book.
Right. You're midway through the book saying, "Wait, I'm almost finished." No.
Yeah, I'm like at the beginning of this, this research or at the end of the research and trying to, pull it all together in a book, and she's talking about making a movie, but.
Well, it's fantastic. And the reason they're previewing it early is because the Oscar buzz is so strong around this film. So congratulations
Thank you.
for that as well. Let's talk a little more about the women. Dorothy Vaughan. Now, who was she and what was she working on?
Right. So as I mentioned before, I first heard the name Dorothy Vaughan from Katherine Johnson.
Right.
His name is very well known. And I think one of the great gifts that Katherine has given us, in addition to the work that she did, was a real way to shine a light on all of the women, black and white, really, who have been doing this work. But Dorothy Vaughan in particular was someone who came to Langley, the Langley Memorial Aeronautical Laboratory, during the war, as so many women did. She was a teacher. She was a math teacher, again, like many of these women. She showed up in December of 1943, and she was working on airplanes because that's what they were doing back in those days. Helping airplanes during the war, military aircraft, fly faster, farther, more efficiently. Originally, she was placed into the West Computing Group, which was the segregated group of black women. And they had 2 white supervisors originally. Over time, Dorothy Vaughan took over that group. She became the supervisor of that group of black women. And that, I was really surprised when I found the memos documenting that, because that really made her, as a section head within this group, the first black supervisor.
That's big news.
It is to us now. It was really sort of just a very matter-of-fact thing that had happened in these memos as I was doing the research. But in retrospect, that was really a huge thing. And, Dorothy Vaughan herself was a very, very good mathematician, like the rest of these women. But she was also a good manager. She was a fierce advocate for the women in her group. And she also advocated for other women, the white women, who were in different groups, making sure that the women were treated fairly, that they were paid, that they were promoted when they were supposed to. Right. And, she really was a pioneer and someone who helped open doors for a lot of other women.
And as you tell the story, the point to emphasize is that this was totally segregated.
This was a still segregated bathrooms, segregated cafeteria, and a segregated office.
And yet doing the calculation to get them in
Yes,
into
and yet
space and landing on the moon. Okay,
yes.
Mary Jackson.
Yeah, so Mary Jackson is actually a native of Hampton, Virginia. Many of these women came from West Virginia, from New Jersey, from Texas. Mary is from right there in Hampton, Virginia. Her roots go back to the Civil War, to Reconstruction. So her family is as Hampton, Virginia as it gets.
Right.
And Mary, also another woman who taught math initially after graduating from college, and Mary has the distinction of being the first African American engineer at Langley, and I think at the entire organization that is NASA. She started out in the segregated computer pool. She was then transferred after, sort of an incident where she was working with some white computers who were kind of chuckling at her when she had to go find the bathroom because, obviously she had to go find the colored bathroom, and sort of steaming across the Langley campus ran into a white engineer who said, listen, Mary, I think you're super talented. Just come work for me and my group.
Right.
And
Sure.
so, yeah, and obviously she
Are you closer to
accepted.
the bathroom?
But he said, listen, you know, Mary, I think that you're a good mathematician, but I think you'd be a very good engineer. You know, and an engineer, you know, as an engineer, she'd be able to do her own projects, do her own research, you know, conduct the experiments directly. And he recommended her for an engineering training program and really, you know, went out of his way to support her career over time. And so Mary, you know, was someone also who, particularly in the end of her career, fought very hard so that talented people, females of both black, white, whatever, were able to let their talent shine and move up as they should move up.
And Christine Darden?
Christine Darden, who her birthday was on September 10th, and she is now retired. She retired in 2007, I believe, and is as busy, if not busier, in retirement as she was working.
How old did she turn on September 10th?
74 years
74,
old, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and so she was really someone who stood on the shoulders of these women who came before and was able to kind of realize the fullness of her talent. So Christine also came in. She started in 1967. She was in the computer pool, which by then had been completely integrated. It was no longer racially segregated.
67, so that would have been right after the riots or during the
during all of
that,
the sort of tumultuous part of the civil rights
right.
movement. It still was, however, mostly female. You know, so there were still issues of women kind of breaking through out of that mathematician role and into an engineering role. But she went, you know, after some years in the computing pool and really also, like Mary, you know, an engineer, wanted to do her own experiments, her own research, went to the big boss and said, listen, why is it that women are hired in as data analysts and not as engineers? I want to do my own research. And the big boss said, you know what? No one's ever complained about it, but
now that you ask,
here's your chance. She took that chance and ran with it, and is an internationally renowned expert on supersonic flight and sonic boom phenomena.
Incredible, incredible. Katherine Johnson is now 98.
She turned 98 on August 26th.
And received the Presidential Medal of Freedom last year. That was a pretty big deal, but in looking at some of the research on her, I think she was more excited about the park bench than she was about the medal.
Well, you know, the thing about this story that is so wonderful is that it's a tribute to so many things in Hampton, Virginia, where I grew up and where this story took place, to, you know, to Langley, to Hampton University, which used to be called Hampton Institute, a historically black college there, to so many aspects. So I think that, you know, having the hometown celebrate you is a fantastic thing.
Now you're working on another project.
I am working on another project. This Hidden Figures is sort of the first of what I'm sort of conceiving as my African American trilogy, and I found two other similar, not quite untold, but perhaps unseen stories that as soon as I get a breather, I hope to start working
Right,
on.
and she's not revealing what they are because, you know, somebody else will say, hey, you know, that's a great idea. I think I'll do that.
Yeah, mid-century African American trilogy, and
excellent.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on now.
That's terrific. Now you have to be thinking about, and you probably already have the feedback from young women and girls on what this means for them, especially girls of color, going into STEM projects. What experience have you had with that yet in terms of feedback?
It has been overwhelming. Just this morning, I got on Twitter, the mother of a young girl had written a letter to Katherine Johnson and Christine Darden saying, I think that you are amazing. You guys are both so smart. I want to be like you when I grow up. You know, I mean, it's amazing. So I've gotten responses from the parents of young women in college saying they are having a hard time. They're in math and science fields. They're the only woman in their class. Thank you for presenting these role models because, you know, they know that they can do it. And I've gotten, you know, emails from women who are in PhD programs, the Association of Black Women Physicists, You know,
Now, there's a small group, one would think, but maybe not.
Well, I think that, you know, we talk about the numbers, and obviously we do want greater numbers, greater inclusion of women, of Black people, of all people in these fields. But I think one of the things that we have to do is see the people who are there first, you know, and I think a lot of times that they're not seen. It's sort of like we all, regardless of our background, you know, Black people too, we don't see that these people are there all the time. And I think that they're doing amazing work like these women, and we need to recognize and listen and see them as they are right now in these professions.
And to celebrate them. And, one of the things that you mentioned throughout the book is that it's not so helpful to think of them as exceptional women. They were just, you know, they should need to be rewarded for their talent, not their exceptionalism.
I mean, we look at and we celebrate the work of people like Chris Kraft and Gene Kranz and Neil Armstrong for the, you know, but as part of a team. You know, we don't expect them to be the only white man doing this work. You know, they did amazing work and they were part of a team. These Black women and the larger group of women also did exceptional work and they were part of a team. So we need to see them as extraordinary, ordinary people instead of expecting them to be the one and only.
Right, so we always finish by asking the guests to complete the statement: the power, the strength of Black America lies in
imagination. Imagination. I think that the history of Black people in America has always been the power to imagine a better circumstance, imagine, you know, a new form of music like jazz, you know, to really imagine that America lives up to its ideals. And I think now that we see these Black women who have contributed to, you know, the process of imagining we could send a man to the moon, that really allows for so much greater leeway of existence.
And anything is possible. Margot,
anything is possible.
Thank you so much for being with us today, and congratulations.
Thank you, Carol.
Everybody rush out and get Hidden Figures and go see the film, and we'll wait for the next two editions here. And thanks to you for watching us today, too. We'll see you the next time. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America.